Imagine if life weren't something to win, endure, or decode, but instead, something to play. Framing life as a game doesn't mean treating it lightly. It means approaching it with the kind of engaged awareness that games invite. Games allow experimentation, invite multiple outcomes, and reward participation over perfection. What if we applied that same approach to our lives? Suddenly, failure wouldn't be a verdict, but feedback. Success wouldn't be a singular goal, but a byproduct of curiosity and connection, and our identities, rather than being fixed or tied to performance, could become playful avatars, temporary expressions of a deeper, ever-evolving self. When we imagine life this way, our relationship with suffering transforms. Pain doesn't disappear, but it changes its role. It becomes one of many experiences, like joy, confusion, or triumph, that color the landscape through which we navigate. No longer moralized or overly personalized, pain becomes part of the gameplay, an experience to engage with rather than resist. In the same vein, joy is no longer a reward for good behavior, but a spontaneous part of the field of life. Just as storms and sunshine both contribute to the beauty of weather, in this metaphorical lens, life stops being a rigid structure of tasks and becomes a dynamic world of possibility. Traditional views of success and failure get flipped. Success isn't defined by flawless execution or rigid discipline. It becomes the feeling of being fully present, of exploring possibilities with attention and intention. Failure, rather than being a sign of inadequacy, becomes an essential part of the learning curve, something that unlocks new strategies and perspectives. Consider the difference between a task-oriented and game-oriented life. In the task-driven model, effort is only validated by outcome. If you succeed, you matter. If you fail, you're inadequate. There's one correct path, one version of identity, one fixed value system. But in the game-oriented model, effort is the point. You show up not to prove your worth, but to experience the unfolding. You can shift roles, adapt identities, and embrace multiple purposes as the seasons of your life change. Mistakes are no longer moral failures. They're keys to unlocking different layers of the game. When you see life as a game, you may even find yourself becoming more humble, not because you feel small, but because you realize you're part of something vast, creative, and unpredictable. And in that humility, you find freedom. You're not imprisoned by performance anymore. You don't need to win at life. You're simply here to explore, engage, and evolve. This playful perspective doesn't deny the weight of real suffering or the stakes of meaningful choice. On the contrary, it honors them with new depth. It invites you to engage life fully, not as a rigid linear project, but as a multi-dimensional arena where learning, failing, loving, losing, and rising again are all parts of the journey. Reimagining life as a game is a form of existential artistry. It asks us to loosen our grip on perfection and embrace the unknown as an essential part of the experience. To deepen this journey, consider integrating tools that support your emotional state. Our Soul Glow Serum, for instance, is more than a skincare product. Infused with Maitreya Reiki, it's designed to foster emotional harmony while nourishing the skin. Used regularly, it helps stabilize your energetic field, subtly reinforcing the calm and hopefulness you're cultivating. With each application, you're reminded that self-care is not just about outer beauty, but also about emotional alignment and intention. It teaches us that presence, not performance, is the real prize. And when that becomes our compass, we begin to live with more curiosity, resilience, and openness to surprise. So perhaps life is not something to master, but something to meet. not a riddle to solve, but a sacred playground of awareness. Not a final exam, but an ever-evolving experience of remembering who we are beneath the strategies, beyond the fear, and within the joy of simply being here.